Hello, and welcome back to Screen Stars. Ouija Origin of Evil is the sequel or prequel to the horror movie Ouija, which was very poorly received upon release and was torn to pieces by the critics. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen it because of that reason. Um, and this movie was directed by Mike Flanagan and it stars Elizabeth Reese, Lulu Wilson, and Annalise Basso. And it is the story of a widowed mother who has two daughters, one a teenager and one I think she's 10 or 11 in the movie. And she's basically running a seance scam where she brings customers into her home and puts on a seance show, so that they think they're talking to their dead relatives, and that's how she makes money. But she's not doing very well at it because she's struggling to pay the bills. Um, and she is encouraged by one of her daughters to get a Ouija board because it's the 60s and they're all the rage, and it's like a board game really. It's treated as a board game at this point. But she thinks it would be good for the act, for the customers, the Ouija board. So the mother buys one, she starts setting it up to do all the tricks that she wants it to do. But her daughter, the younger daughter, becomes fascinated with it and starts, if you like, playing with it on her own. And she ends up channeling spirits, and some not so pleasant ones at that, some that are residing within the house. And this then leads to the daughter being taken over, and the usual sort of chaos ensues from there. Now, I don't really want to say anything else. As you know, if you watch my reviews, I don't like spoiling things. So if you really want to see what happens, you'll have to watch the movie to find out. But I do have to say, I was really pleasantly surprised with this movie. I know it was well received by critics, more so than the first one, which is the reason why I've chosen to watch it. Um, and I have to say, it was quite an effective horror movie, this. I don't think it's without its faults. It does have some. I think it has a fairly weak beginning, full of questionable parenting choices that I don't even think would have been happening in the 60s. But if you can kind of get over that sort of thing, it does a kind of a weak storytelling start to the movie. But once it kicks off, once the unusual things start happening with the young daughter, it picks up and it is really quite effective. I mean, the director Mike Flanagan, if I'm right in thinking, he was the director of Oculus, so a very effective horror movie there. So he knows how to construct a good horror movie, and he does it again here. Some of the imagery in this movie is really quite disturbing, especially regarding the young girl, who does a superb performance. By the way, I don't know where they found her, but she is a very very good little actress, and she was very convincing in the role. In a movie like this, where you're relying on a child performance, you've really got to get that right, and they really did. Very impressive performance by this young lady, and I think she's got a bright future ahead of her. But everybody's fine in the movie. Um, there are other weaknesses to the plot, in regards to they're constantly trying to communicate with a dead father, and at one point you kind of think they have, and you think he's helping, and then he's not. The ending was kind of blue hot and cold. One ending that I thought we were going to get was starting to annoy me a little bit, and then it kind of went a different direction. I thought, oh well, that's quite a brave choice. And then it did something else after that that was just like, you didn't need that. It almost felt like the studio said, no, 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 we need to add something else onto this because we need to let people know that, you know, there may be sequels. So a little bit dissatisfied with the ending. You kind of get three in a way. One of them I was fine with. One of them I wasn't, and the final one they tagged on at the end was just not really necessary. I don't think you might think differently if you watch it. A little bit muddled at the end, and also a little bit rushed. There's a priest in the film who's like I think he's the head teacher at the school as well, who becomes involved, and then as soon as he becomes involved, it all like escalates immediately. And I didn't expect it. It didn't spoil it, but I just didn't expect it. It just kind of felt rushed at that point then. But very effective. I think an impressive horror movie. It does have some genuine scares in it, some pretty frightening imagery, and the director does a good job of really building the tension in the movie. And I really quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I might even watch the first one now because I believe they do tie together, but I don't know how because I've not seen it. So I might watch the first one just to see how they connect. But if you haven't seen this because you've been put off by the first one, it's definitely worth seeing.